Good day, lords and ladies, and welcome back to Shadowrun Dragonfall. Now, we just finished the last mission. And we had some stuff to turn in. Talk to Amzel. We also, I think we were saving up. Yeah, we were saving up the last of our karma. Oh, that's interesting. People are missing. Oh boy. Everyone's gathered as well. That's not good. Let's... We got one unread message. One last DVD. The screen flickers to life and Miltilla's face appears. He wears a plastic smile. Hey again, Black Knight. Well, I recovered the last DVD for you, but I'm afraid that's all you're going to get. You might as well use the rest as coasters. They'll all be on repair. If you're looking at the tablet beside your DVD player, you'll find a disc that I salvaged. He pauses and a slight frown across the face. To be completely honest, that was a lie. To recover this last disc, I was forced to subcontract. Sirot is still a brute of a man, but I'm unimpressed with his manner, but his poor hygiene disgusts me. But he is very good with the old things such as this. All credit is due. The message ends and the image fades. You find yourself back in the inbox. Okay. Access. Keywords. Formula 17. So, we've all seen this one floating about, this tricks, that's some serious stuff. It's got heavy duty corp written all over it. And a lot of players would be behind something like this, Ares or SK, or maybe one of the big pharma corps, say Zurich or AGC. Of course, you can never be told to discount the Azis either. Tolstoy, my esteemed colleague, this is indeed a recipe for some top-shelf dreck. Whispers from the shadows say that it's sourced straight from the F-state. Hello boys, I'm a big fan, long-time reader, first-time poster. Quite an interesting concoction you have here. I'm just itching to cook some up. So many interesting properties to play with. I've already got a few tweaks in mind for my own special version 2.0. You say that you want to do that, this stuff doesn't play nice, and the corps are really bad at sharing their toys. You can, of course, always share their secrets for them, just gotta make sure that you run a little faster than them. Always running, eh, CW? Like clockwork. Behind Bandit, I'm touched by your concern, but don't you worry about little old me. I do declare this shall be ever so much fun. Please help me find my daughter. She ran away from home. She is human, in her 20s, with short blonde hair and dated Jack. She was last seen wearing a light blue dress. This is not exactly the place to be looking for missing kids. How did you even get in here? I paid good money to get on here. I was told you people could help. If you got the new yen, you can come to the right place. I'll send you a number that you can reach me at. The old help me find missing kid route, a classic. The money is on an escaped. My money is on an escaped wage slave. Make sure you do your homework, Ruby. Corp tracers. Anyone have a good backup plan for when you get stuck with a tracer? Barely managed to bug out of my apartment after a corp hit squad came knocking. Lesson learned, pat yourself down a couple of times and make sure you don't have a tail. But if I'm missing something, I'd rather keep my safe house, safe. I've had good luck with the RF blockers. I have a jamming grid set up near my safe house. It projects any signals to a few miles away where I got some cameras placed. So when someone shows up, I know they were trying to find me. Then I do a thorough sweep to find the tracker. Sharp. How long does that go on before they give up? Usual rule of three, I keep reprojecting the signal to different locations. In my experience, they give up after the third one is a dead end and stop listening to the RF signal. Okay. Nothing to post. Open job directory. Claim payment for the prototype extraction. When you said you wanted the prototype, we said we go to having gone without saying we want it intact and operational. You technically fulfilled the terms of our agreement so you can get paid, but don't ever expect to work for us again. Yeah, well, it would be nice to know what exactly we're walking into. Besides, like, that was beyond morally questionable. Like, my character's a professional, and we've got a lot of like dodgy stuff. But like that, like it wasn't like they had a clone vat, like a vat clone that they just put in cybernetics into. They literally turned that guy into a zombie. Okay, check the Alice Fund. 40,000. We need to get to 50,000. Okay. Dante's old dog, looking down about you see intelligent sadness. Pet him, as always. I'm going to watch the DVD quickly before we talk to get this going. Fourth DVD. A soft whir sound fills the air and the ancient DVD player spins to super speed. The scratch LCD display comes to life. Play track 1. DVD player ramps up the speed, filling the air with surreal, whining sound. Green Winter's face appears on the screen. Timestamp 2050, April 28. This is at the interview. It took me some digging to find it, but here we are, my brother, back in his prime. The note disappears, and for a moment the screen goes blank. Suddenly, an image of a new correspondent flashes onto the screen, accompanied by a brief orchestral flourish. A timestamp in the upper corner of the screen says August 22nd, 2012. Thank you for joining us. We are coming to you live from the ruins of Sungehausen. The Fist has mountain town to be sacked by the Dragon Feuerschwinge. Standing by my side is the head of the Deal Defense, Dr. Adrian von Clare. Dr. von Clare has been hailed as the leader in effect to bring down Feuerschwinge and end her reign of terror. Dr. von Clare, tell us about your efforts to bring down the dragon. Killing the monster has proven difficult to say the least. Her speed and maneuverability in the air are extraordinary. Her scales repel small arms fire, and her breath can melt steel. Our R&D team have been working around the clock to devise a weapon capable of downing the beast. In the interim, we are providing material support for the Luftwaffe attempts to shoot down via conventional means. Herr von Clare, why are you directing Dale's Defence's energies into killing off Firewing? Are there corporate interests to play at this? Corporate interests? No, this is a matter of human interest. Innocent lives are being extinguished at an appalling rate. I am in a position to help put an end to the slaughter, and so I must. It's really that simple. Dr. Von Clare, you must understand my skepticism. Our viewers aren't looking for a PR statement. They are coming to us for the truth. I'm afraid I don't have time to go back and forth on this. Your viewers can think what they wish. My concern is to help the people affected by this tragedy. In this case, Dr. Von Clare, thank you for sharing your valuable time with us. You're welcome. To the viewers at home, stay safe and watch the sky. Salvation is coming, I promise. Again with Dr. Adrian von Clare, CEO of Dale Defense. Dr. von Clare is the chief architect of the military current plan to bring down the Dragon Feuerschwinge. Stay tuned for more late-breaking news on the battle from the Harz Mountains. We'll be right back. Alright. Track number 2. Display goes blank for a moment, then the face of Green Winter winks onto the screen. This looks at astonishment's face. Timestamped 2054, November 17th. Holy shit, I've stumbled upon some of Aiden's old lab notes. I'm not going to say how I came across those. Someone might get hurt if the wrong people watch this. But I've checked them against some of Aiden's old handwriting samples, and they are legitimate. Holy shit, this is big. Alright, back up, slow down, breathe. He takes a moment to calm himself. Okay, so these notes, they pretty much confirm something I've always suspected. Luftwaffe didn't shoot down Firewing. I mean, they tried. They pumped thousands of rounds into the air around her, and they lobbed rockets at her for months. Lost a lot of attack helicopters and fighter craft in the process, but none of those things were responsible for taking her down. The Dragonfall was caused by an experimental warhead, one that Adrian and his defense think tank designed. I don't understand the science of it, but even a little bit, but from what I can piece together, it looks like they designed some sort of chemical chemical/radiological agent that acted on the metagene. I don't think that they were fully understood what they were doing. It was 2012 after all. I mean, the process worked, but I don't know if they understood why it worked. Anyway, when the warhead full of this stuff comes into contact with a dual-natured creature like a dragon, say, it drives a wedge between the creature's physical and astral forms. The body gets put into a sort of hibernation state and spirit is forced out. It looks like this process can maintain that state of separation indefinitely, and that's a pretty horrifying thought. A discorporated body supposedly is supposed to die in a few hours. It's a horror stories around. I've heard horror stories about ghost walking mages getting trapped in astral space, unable to rejoin with their meat. I heard they went crazy from the pain. If what I'm reading is correct, it's entirely possible that Firewing has been trapped outside her body for over 40 years. Winter puts his chair back and slaps the table in front of him. This is why Adrian was always so cagey about the subject of Firewing after the Dragonfall. He knew for a fact that she was alive, even if only technically. Her body crashed down in the socks, sure, but she wasn't dead. The government wouldn't let Adrian tell the public about any of this, of course. It'd interfere with the lie that they'd feeding us, that the Firewing was dead, and that everyone was safe, and that people should stop hiding in their basement and get back to work again. But privately, he always said that she was still out there, somewhere deep in the socks. I'd always thought that he was paranoid, but I was wrong. He knew. So what does this all mean? It means that the stories I got from that ghost rat suddenly sound a lot more plausible. It means that Firewing is definitely alive, and that Adrian's disappearance isn't unquestionable tied to survival. It means that Germany's in deep shit, because if Firewing is still alive, it's only a matter of time before she rears her ugly head again. Okay, that's enough for one night. I'm going to go get a drink. Disc 3. The PV player hums at the speed, filling the air with surreal whining sounds. Greenwood's face appears on the screen. He looks younger than you've ever seen him, but the way he's carrying himself is clearly drunk. 2033, the 5th month, the 15th day. Look, Adrian, I understand you, Lord knows I do, but you've got to drop this dragon fixation. People stand to talk. There's a camera. The camera cuts and you find yourself looking at a younger, handsome Dr. Adrian Van Clare. He wears a smiling face and says, "Oh, they're talking, are they? What a terrible shame." Damn it, Adrian, this is serious. You're a public figure. You could lose everything if you don't keep those ridiculous fairy tales to yourself. Hermie, my fears are not as they call them, fairy tales. Dragons are real. I saved Germany from one. Have you forgotten? No, of course not. Everyone knows you killed the Firewing. Stopped, not killed. Fine, stopped, whatever. Winter swipes the bottle off the table in front of him, drains it, and drops it to the floor. Call it whatever you want, but Adrian, you're the only one who's still obsessed with the damn things. There aren't that many of them, and they're not taking over the world. Von Kirk's voice is quite soft, such as the cry of a cancer patient, unaware of what's killing him. I'm fine, not to worry. I'm smoking another cigarette, what's the harm? He doesn't see what's happening, but he ends up dead all the same. Winter snorts. Now just being a Madonna. Look, Adrian. Von Clare shakes his head, his smile has disappeared. You mark my words, Hermie. Within 5 years, corporations, even countries will fall to these creatures, and the worst part is no one will care. Oh, people will tut-tut about it. There'll be a protest or two, but nobody will actually do anything to stop them. The immortal, all-powerful, utterly pitiless reptiles will seize more and more of our power, wealth, and territory, and we foolishly short-sighted mortals will never get it back. Green Winters chuckled uncomfortably, raising his hand to the air in a supplicating gesture. Come on, Adrian. Van Clare talks over his brother's interruption. We could solve the problem, of course, but we, as a species, are unwilling to invest our energies into a problem that ain't striking us right in the face. As with climate change, so it is with dragons. I've accepted that, but you can't ask me to stop caring about it. Winter shakes his head. You're hopeless, Adrian. Fine, by all means, keep crying. Just keep your conspiracy theories to yourself. I'm telling you this for your own sake. Von Clare sighs. He looks incredibly tired. Yes, Hermes, you're right, of course. I mustn't jeopardize my credibility with the masses. Winter's expression turns serious. His voice lowers. It's not just your credibility that I'm worried about. Talk is talk, but sometimes he pauses, shakes his head. Sometimes I worry that you're going to go back to the socks. Von Clare's tone softens again. Hermes, I. Winter cuts his brother off, and a new intensity burns in his voice. Please, big brother, just drop all of this. Stop hunting the Firewing and start living your life again. If you won't do it for yourself, then for Christ's sake, do it for me. Von Clare nods, then looks away from the screen. All right, Hermes, I try. A ratty sound fills the air that is grinded in its tray. A few seconds later, the screen is filled with text. Meet and mate single dating profile. I'm looking for a lovely guy who's a great listener. I'm loving love hiking, clubbing, and all kinds of pets. I'm looking for a cute, funny, adventurous girl who's down for party and don't respond to profiles about pics. No orcs, no trolls. Sorry, ladies. Okie dokie. So we watched all the information. So we basically know what's happened to Firewing. The Firewing is now basically split in two and her spirit is floating about somewhere. Okay, Paul Amzell. As you step forward, the rest of your team falls silent. Amzell shifts attention to you. You can see the worry on his face. Black Knight, I have new information. I'm afraid the news isn't good. You switch over the comms. Go on, we're listening. 2 years ago, a large shipment of highly lethal radioactive bioweapons disappeared en route to the storage facility in Dresden. The weapon was designated X-15. I have traced the path of the missing shipment. It was delivered to the Harebrained Manor. Well, that sounds horrible. It is. I have heard of this stuff before. Back in the surface, it was called Doom. I never ran across it in the wild, but I've heard enough horror stories to know what I don't want to. The stories that I heard are correct. This Doom is an extremely dangerous substance. He gestures to a technical document on the computer display. I've been reading up. To this day, the story of Doom remains a cautionary tale to biotech circles. Monoclonal antibody technology, monoclonal antibody technology is strictly regulated now, and its substance is one of the reasons why. What does this stuff do exactly? Amso clears his throat and reads aloud from the information on the screen. Doom kills by destroying a host muscle tissue via radioactive decay. Each individual Doom antibody is bound to a radioactive bismuth 212 isotope. When introduced into the host, these antibodies bend the surface level muscle tissue. The tissue is then killed with alpha radiation. This process repeats itself until the host wastes away and dies. Jesus, mutters Dietrich. Iger nods grimly. I've heard of Doom was deployed in a couple of border skirmishes back in 41. After seeing what it did to people up close, the UCAS passed a unilateral ban on the stuff. If that doesn't tell you how bad it is, nothing will. Okay, so I hesitate to ask, what would a dragon want with this Drek? Nothing good. But much goes without saying. This development worries me, Black Knight. It worries me greatly. So the dragon has a bioweapon. All right, good to know. But what doesn't change the fact that this doesn't change what we need to do. If the dragon is stockpiling bioweapons, we've got a even bigger problem we've fought on our hands. I'm looking at the big picture here, and I don't like what I see. Okay, this is the thing that's interesting. Like, we know that the dragon must be in spiritual form, but maybe, I don't know. I mean, it could be. Maybe they've got it like it's so linked up to a machine. Maybe it's sort of like the 40k spirit in the machine, like machine spirit thing. Like they've basically trapped the dragon spirit in something, and it's basically puppeting. Maybe they've turned it into an AI or something. Okay, I'm looking at the big picture here, and I don't like what I see. If the dragon's stockpiling bioweapons, we've got an even bigger problem than we fought on our hands. Let's go with that one. There's a moment of silence, and Dietrich speaks up. Well, in my books, it doesn't change anything. I mean, it's up to the stakes if Firewing's allowed to carry out her plans, whatever those might be. But we've got to stop her before that happens. That was always the plan. As far as I'm concerned, it's still the plan now. I agree with Dietrich. We need to focus on what's in the front of us. Whatever the dragon's larger plans may be, the fact is that she is after us. We shouldn't let ourselves get distracted by anything else. Amzell is slow to respond. Finally nods, yes, I concur. For the time being, we must continue forward, and that means we must continue working towards raising Alice's fee. I'll leave the matter in your hands, Black Knight. When you've acquired necessary funds and are ready to head back out to the rabbit hole, let me know. From here, we will discuss our next step. Irga nods good. If you need to be getting prepped for the next run. Right behind you, love, says Dietrich. Dietrich casts a backward glance at Glory. If any of this had impact her, he doesn't sow it. Come on, Glory, let's go. Okay, let's talk to Paul Amzell. I've got a question about the Firewing. Okay, so that's bizarre. Okay. So we watched the video. Okay. Anything about the last run you'd like to share? Let's do this one first. There was nothing about that run that didn't disgust me. When what they did to that troll, he said it wasn't right, boss, on any level. I don't care what anyone tells you. You listen to me, Black Knight. what you did killing that thing. It was the right call. Yeah, it cost us some new yen, but letting that thing live would have been a travesty. Any update on Alexander? Nothing new, boss. He's adjusting. He's going to take some time. Back when we took on the Humies, you said that you were fought in the night of rage. I'd like to hear more about that. He nods, then fishes in his jacket pocket for his flask. Oh, alright, boss. We can talk about it. So I already mentioned that Berlin punks and anarchists joined forces to fight off the racists, right? And after a long bloody fight, we beat them. But what I didn't mention is how I figured into all of this. I'm an anarchist at heart, always have been. But at the time I fitted squarely into the punk camp. I was 32 at the time. Mesa Camp here was still touring, not as much as we did when we were kids, but we had a following. I guess I was sort of an elderly statesman for the scene. When we rallied to fight the racists, my fellows came along for the ride. Bunch of you old kids, all full of piss and vinegar and the immortality of youth. I was full of the good old Dragon Slayer spirit, pissed off and itching for a fight. So I led those kids into the fray. They waded into the right alongside me, yelling and screaming with their fists in the air. I don't remember a whole lot of the fight itself, boss, but I do remember the aftermath. A lot of those kids that followed me had grown up listening to my music. They had all of my attitude, Black Knight, but none of them had my magic. A youthful enthusiasm is no offense against a knife or a handgun. I left the punk scene for all the reasons I told you, boss, but there was a bigger reason, and I saw it in those kids' broken bodies. This road that I'm on, it leads to the grave. I've got the power to make it a leisurely trip, make no mistake. That is where I'm heading. Those kids tried to follow my footsteps, and they wound up sprinting ahead of me instead. Better for me to stay out of the public eye and stick to the shadows. My stint as a role model was ill-advised. Have you put any thought into what I said earlier? Yes, boss, I have. It's an interesting idea, but there are risks. I'm thinking that it might not be the best time to approach him about it. He's the source of my magic, remember. If our discussion turned into an argument, he could take all my magic back in a heartbeat, and then what would we do? From what you've told me about the Dragon Slayer, I don't think he'd like the way we are talking. Since when has he ever encouraged you to back down from a fight? I can't justify the risk of using your magic. Let's go with this one. Let's go with the one. The Dragon Slayer likes a challenge. You've got a point there, boss. He wouldn't want me to back down ever, not even from him. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'll ask the Dragon Slayer about shifting priorities. I guess you'd say taking on some deserving organisation, calling off the hunt for something more impressive than the Firewing. Cause a fight like that would never really end. I'm never going to bring down a corp or polar club all on my own, all my lonesome. He shrugs, but maybe that's not a bad thing. It would take a lot of guesswork out of life. I don't know, boss. If you have any thoughts about it, I'd love to hear them. You've already done some damage to the Humies. How about them? Could they be your new white whale after you're done with all of this? If you want big and bad, how about Serd Kruber? They're the biggest corporation in the world, and they led by an honest-to-God dragon. Why tie yourself up in a specific group? Keep it fluid. Stomp anyone that threatens to flux. Isn't that what Berlin is all about? Let's go with that one. That sounds good. You could go. Humanies have basically already been pretty battered. We could Serd Kruber. We could, but basically, eventually, the dragons could stomp him for doing that to the dragon that leads it. Why tie yourself to a specific group? Keep it fluid. Stomp anyone that threatens to flux. He cocks his head. Interesting. That's a different approach, but I like it. Hang on a second. I'll ask. He closes his eyes and concentrates. Minutes pass slowly. A smile creeps across his face. Dietrich opens his eyes and turns to face you. Yeah. I think that he'd like this plan. I think that he'd like this plan just fine. That was it. That's all it took. The Dragon Slayer doesn't mince words, boss. If he doesn't like the plan, he told me. Dietrich's grin widens. He looks more at ease than I've ever seen him. Well, boss, I got myself a plan and a new target to boot. That's assuming, of course, that any of us make it through the current predicament alive. You know, Dietrich, now that you've got a handle on your connection with the Dragon Slayer, could you probably reach out to your old community again? Berlin's punks could benefit from your experience. He nods. Yeah, boss, I'm thinking of the same thing. Maybe I could give back a bit and fix some of the damage I caused in my misspent youth. After we've finished dealing with the crisis in front of us, that is. Nothing right now, Dietrich. Okay. Go talk to Iger. on the last run. Not going to lie, Black Knight, this one is going to stick with me for a while. What they did to that troll was sick. This is probably going to surprise you, but I'm happy that the MK6 is dead. Yeah, Herr Smith was pissed and saw our reputation's got dinged. Neither of those is a good thing, but I'll take him over being a part of what they're doing to that throne any day. Walking out on the run and with a clear conscience is a rare pleasure. Savour it while you can. Talk to me, Iger. If something putting your head, I'd want to know what it is. There's a long post. Finally, she turns her PDA so that you can look at the screen. The image of the creature is a holotape of a rail-thin orc with jet black hair. Who am I looking at? His name is Yul Kozlov, but he's better known by his handler, the engineer. He's a mercenary, ex-Spetsnaz, one of the best in his field. I ran up against him in my KSK days. Tell me more, you say. He specialises in social engineering and wet work. In practice, he spends most of his time paving the way for organised crime syndicates to seize new territory. He sets up bribes, takes over key members of the opposition and forces alliances with existing street gangs. All the groundwork for a syndicate needs. He's extremely bad news, Black Knight, and my contact spotted him in Snurnest. That's a little too close to the bazaar for comfort, you say. Exactly, I've seen what the engineer can do up close. My KSK unit tracked him a few years ago. I had him in the sights of my rifle, but I was ordered to hold fire. We couldn't afford to give away our position. To this day I regret obeying that order. I saw what happened to the town that he was softening up after the syndicate moved in. Black Knight, I have to stop him. Before it's too late. What happened to that town, it can't be allowed to happen to Snurnest. Why not? I don't have a particular love for that place. Well, no, this is the thing. I don't agree with that statement, because the thing is, like, if he gets entrenched in Snurnest, he'll basically then move on to our territory, because that's how like social engineering works. You basically spread your influence. It's like a virus. Agreed. Do we know what he's working for? You say. The safest bet would be the Russian syndicate, but that's no telling. His client list is longer than you expect. Got any examples? Well, I know for a fact that he worked for the mafia groups operating inside and outside of Russia, and he put in a lot of time with the Lubitz syndicate. He's taken contracts with the Triad as well. My contacts tell me that he's even done a few jobs for Terminus. That's a hell of a resume. Yeah, it is. She bites her lip and stares at the image of the PDA for a long moment. So, long story short, I'm going to have to step out for a mission or two. I know how important it is that we resolve the firing situation, I get it, but I can't just sit back and let this happen. She shakes her head. I won't. If the bazaar is at risk, it isn't too important a job to rest on the shoulders of one person. I'm going to go with you. End of story. Yeah, let's do this one. Right, fearless leader, you're right. I could use the help, but the others, they can't know about this. This is going to have to be a quiet job, 2 people max. You sure you'll prep for this? If you can't hold up your end, I'll better off on my own. Don't worry about it, I'm solid. Yeah, I know you are. Grab your things and meet me at Dear Wayne Killer. I've got a contact who's going to join us, and he can help us figure out our next step. Okay. So, things are getting brutal. I'm just going to take a quick sip of water. Now, if we think about this, this is going to be causing some issues. No new messages. Still only got the one job. Okay. Let's talk to Glory. Glory favours you a weak smile, expressing caution. She's suddenly aware of how very small she is. Oh, hi, Black Knight. I've got to admit I've been dreading this. So now that you know what I've done, what I am, are you going to here to tell me off? I wouldn't blame you if you were. Any thoughts about the last run? A tinge of red crawls up Glory's neck. Black Knight, look at me. She extends her sculptured metal arms. Chrome glints in the flickering light. I am not that far from being what the poor troll was, when I think what they did to him. She looks you in the eye. Her expression remains neutral, but from the slight blush that spreads up her neck to her cheeks, it wasn't right, and you did the only thing that you could to make it better. You knew that it would cost you, and you did it anyway because it was right. I won't forget that, Black Knight. Not ever. We left off at okay, this is back to the original question. No, Glow, I'm not here to tell you off. Truth be told, I wanted to check in to see how you were doing. We left off at a bad place last time. I've been thinking about your story, and I have a question for you. Yeah, like, why should we tell her off? Like, all people make bad decisions, especially in Shadowrun. Like, I ended up working for the equivalent of the Illuminati and then turning on them, so I can't talk about good decisions. Not great, struggling about how to expect. We left off at the bad place last time. I've been thinking about your story and I have a question for you. Yeah, what's that? You escaped from Harrow, but he's still out there. If you're looking to atone for your past, don't you think that setting him down would be a good place to start? Are you still looking for closure because your story had a lot of loose ends that need to be tied up? You got out of Forstella, but Harrow's code is still up and running, right? Still full of kids who are being brainwashed worse. Shouldn't we do something about that? You escaped from Harrow. Let's see. Still looking for closure because your story has a lot of loose ends and to be tied up. Let's try this one. You got out of Forstella. She holds her silence for a long time. Finally, she nods. Yeah, I've been thinking about this for a long time, Black Knight, and every time I've gotten close to making a decision, I turned away and ran again. No more running. I'm ready to face that thing. I can't do it alone. I'm going to need your help. That's the idea, you say. All right, we're going to go. If we're going to do this, we need to be clear on what our goal is. There are a lot of innocent people in that place. Lots of street kids who got stuck. Who got sucked in by Marta and the other girls like her. Saving them won't be easy, but feels like the right thing to do. But then there's also Harrow to consider. I want that man dead. The Lord knows he deserves it, and if we don't make killing him our top priority, he might get away from us. If that happens, if he runs, he will eventually start up another cult somewhere else, where we can't find him, and all this will have been for nothing. We'll likely run into other complications as well, so I think we need to make a decision up front. What would you do in my place? Rescue the kids or take down Harrow? I don't think we can manage both. Freeing the kids should be our first priority. We raid Forstella, round up the runaways, and clear Harrow's influence from the mines. Killing him will have to be secondary. Yeah, we wipe up. This is the thing, like saving some kids now. This is the thing between doing the right thing now and doing the correct thing now and doing the right thing later. Sorry, doing the right thing now and doing the correct thing later, which is that, like the right thing is to save the kids, but the correct thing is to basically stop Harrow, because as long as he's alive, he can just start up all over again. We will save any coders that we can, but the ones that are too far gone will have to be put down. Like, this is the sad thing, but like, if we, like, it's, to quote Star Trek, the needs of the many outnumber the needs of the few or the one. So, yeah. So, in this case, we have to stop Harrow, because he is the main cause of everything. Harrow needs to die. I don't want any other kids hurt or killed, but Harrow, that bastard, has to pay for what he did. She stops, as if suddenly unsure of herself. A moment later, a newfound confidence seems to seize her. She looks at you, and there's fire in her eyes. He has to pay for what he did to all of us. I won't let this happen again. He needs to die. Damn right he does. Meet me at the van when you're ready to go. It's a long drive from here. She nods. I'll see you there. The thing is, we can try and save the kids, but this is the thing, like, this is the moral quandary, this is the moral trap, which is that if we save the kids now and he gets away, he will just start all over again in another location, and it will be 1,000 times worse, because he will suspect that people are after him. And sometimes you have to, like this is the quandary, like in Mass Effect, in the first Mass Effect game, where sometimes you have to be like the bad guy. For example, when you kill the Rachni. Like, for example, yeah, the Rachni Queen is sentient and everything, and she talks and says that she has not done anything that her people have done. But the thing is, later on in the game, like in the third game, she does get taken over by the Reapers, and you can free her, but it's a massive, like, it's quite a challenging thing to do, and a lot of people are put at risk because of it. Let's talk to Blitz. At the sound of your approach, Blitz snobs out his cigarette. He gives you a curt nod. Black Knight, I offer you a smoke, but that was my last one. Any thoughts about the last run we want to share? Your eyes light up with excitement. That the MK6 was an incredible piece of engineering, Chief. Never seen anything like it before, and the fact that it was rigger-enabled, oh man, the potential ramifications of technology is staggering. It's a pity we had to kill the thing. I mean, yeah, I get it. It must have been horrible for the troll and they installed all the stuff into, but it was a thing of beauty all the same. How's the whole Emily situation working out? Turn anything up, anything new? Yeah, well, sort of. It's mostly speculation, truth be told. So what's the deal? Is she working for the Azes or what? You say? No, I don't think so, but I do have a new lead. After our talk, I went wading into Az Technologies matrix hubs that I could find. Nothing too deep. Don't worry. I didn't want to set off any alarm bells, but I had a hunch that if I poked around long enough, I'd find something that might lead me to Emily. And so I did. A message from the genuine article herself. Well, to be honest, I didn't think you'd find anything. Nicely done, you say. Your face brightens. Hey, thanks, Chief. Always good to get a little recognition for my work. Blitz smiles, dies away. He turns his eyes down to the floor. Can I tell you what she said, if you want? He presses forward without waiting for a response. It said, and I quote, "Lay off, Blitz. I told you to leave me alone. You've shown admirable self-control over the past year. Please don't give up on it now. I'll be back when I can, if I can. Until then, keep away from me, for both our sakes." So I found her, and she wants nothing to do with me. Again, no explanation, no apologies, just a verbal pat on the head. I've shown admirable self-control, really? She makes it sound like I'm a toddler or something. So did you lay off, like the message said? Hell no. I wasn't going to stand there for that. What does she get off stealing from me and then acting like it was my fault? I tried to trace the message like any good Decker would. I note your use of the word tried. He nods grimly, sees good Black Knight, better than I ever thought she was, couldn't trace the damned thing. I could keep digging though, if she noticed me doing it before, I must have been close. But now, before you say anything, I was more discreet this time. I can be subtle if I have to. Nobody noticed what I was doing, and I did find another clue. I'm hesitant to ask. That's okay, I'll tell you anyway. I found the connection between Emily and Shred Krupa. So, do you think that she works for SK then? But she sold the encryption data for you to give to them? Well, maybe, I don't know, it's confusing. It was also able to track down some messages fragments connecting her to Sokun Whittier, the Sokun Whittier. So maybe she's from she's a Kruber mole, and she's got close to me, so she could, I don't know. So she could profit from my decking expertise. Maybe when she told me not to steal the data she was using reverse psychology, that's got to be it. She must have wanted me to take it. He frowns when shakes his head. But again, maybe she's with the Sock and Whittier, and she's screwing both the Azes and SK over. If that's the case, then maybe she was with me because she genuinely wanted to be. He pauses for a moment considering, then all at once he seems to perk up. His chest puffs out, and he nods up once decisively. In either case, I could make an effect to find her. She's playing a dangerous game, whether she's with SK or the Soccer Whittier. Maybe she's gotten herself in too deep, and she might need help. Who else would she send such a cryptic message? I think you should go for it. She's clearly over in her head. What if she needs you? Blitz, that message was rather cryptic. She wanted you to stay away. Far, far away. It's up to you, Blitz. At the end of the day, you're going to do whatever you want to do anyway. Let's go with that one. Yeah, he nods excitedly. If caught in a dismissive tone of your words, he doesn't show it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is up to me. It's up to me to save the one I love. Blitz claps his hands, then rubs them together excitedly. Get set, Chief. You're about to witness an event. When my gung-ho personality and lightning skills come together, the whole world stops and takes notice. Decker 5, I give you a hand. If this is as serious as it sounds, you're going to need help. No thanks, Chief. I appreciate it, though. This is something that I need to do alone. Besides which, I'm the best, remember? I know just the place to hit. That's some technological data node that I stole the information from in the first place. I already know that I can get past security, and my gut tells me I will find Emily there. Thanks for the encouragement, Chief. I know this was the right thing to do, of course, but you'll help me quiet any lingering doubts I might have. He nods at you, expressing his supreme confidence in his faith. And now, if you excuse me, I've got damsel in distress to rescue. I don't think he's going to be the damsel in distress he thinks. I think it's more along the lines of that she was better than him and told him to stay away, but he's not the kind of bloke that would listen to us. So there's no real point in trying to dissuade him. Right. We have some money. Okay. Let's see what you got. Alright, we already own the best that we can get. I mean, do I want to hire attack programs? Might be useful. I mean, I haven't really got the legs to do it, but if nothing else, it would be very powerful. Okay, I did use up one thing I have to do before anything else. Let's first sell some gump. Yeah. I need stuff. I need a couple of these, which are not cheap. I will grab a let's see. I'll grab an attacking ESP because it will help take some of the heat off of me. And I will grab another first aid kit. Okay. Well, repair kit for my little drone. And put the one on there. Actually, no, that's not a good idea. What I need is I need a trauma kit. There we go. Just in case I go down. That's done. I'm going to check in with the NPCs quickly. So you're going to USC all spark and misses. Hey there, how you been? Could be worse, you say? Can't always. Be well, one fraud line. Stay safe, alright? Okay, so she hasn't got anything to say to me. Yeah, he's pissed. Don't care. Cheap booze. Found this liquor in my travels. Worth anything? No, not quite. I received a case of this for less than a certain credit. I could offer you maybe 10 new yen. No, thanks, I'll hold on to it. Soy calf, black. Let's see just how annoyed he is. See you around. Displeased with your performance in the AG chemical you report for us. It would have been very easy for you to make some extra new yen doing what we asked. Now, do you have any other business? Yeah, okay, so he's annoyed. Well, hard cheese for him. Right. As you approach the counter, you find Absinthe reading a small soy calf-stained booklet. The pages are old and weathered. Black Knight, when you speak with men who are not men, they're these fleshy puppets imprisoned behind glass. You must remember that they are... Black Knight, when you speak with the men who are not men, the fleshy puppets imprisoned behind glass, you must remember that they dream. They may not be real people, but by the definition of the term, but they do have dreams. They alone make them worth saving. Okay, fleshy puppets imprisoned behind glass. That could be the cult that we have to go and deal with. Could be a whole host of things. I have a question if you don't mind. Okay, so he hasn't got anything. I wasn't going to tell him the secret of Glory's stuff because, to be honest, I don't trust him. Like, if you've played the first game, you basically... I'm trying to remember, I think he's pretty sure that he's a dragon in the first game. If not a dragon, he's some kind of, like, elder being. Like, some very powerful elder being. So I don't want him to have that knowledge. Partially because I just don't trust him. He seems to be, like, just questionable as anything. Okay. whole host of stuff. I mean, we could get an assault rifle. An assault rifle would be really nice to have, just for that like medium combat range. Yeah, something like one of these ones here, but we haven't been able to. Right. Just making sure, like, he's got no new dialogue. I doubt he's going to have any new dialogue. We're not an elf, we haven't got biotech any higher. So there's no point talking to him. Let's go talk to the morally questionable doctor. Is there anything that we want to pick up from you? Okay. We have blood, we have the hand, we have the head implant. Quickness and dodge would be nice. Remember, I can only have it for the eyes, the right arm, the right and left leg. Strength, don't need it. Let's see. We can get it for the arm. More HP, more strength, don't need it. For the eye, that's an APC increase. More HP, better hit chance. Body. All these are bodies. Not really. Auto-injector. More movement, perhaps, because obviously when we're controlling the drone, we're going to fall behind. Nothing that like really jumps out at me. The +3 movement is not. It's like 3 tiles more, which is okay, but it's not huge. Let's see if there's anything worth. I don't need the strength stuff. Because it's not really my build. Like, the only thing I might consider is basically getting the Universal Omnitech Cyberleg. And plus 8 HP, quickness and dodge, which means it would be harder to hit. So what's the difference? This costs less essence, but essence isn't a thing for me. A little bit more HP would be nice. More quickness and more dodge. Let's just try and remember what those two do. Okay. Dodge would mean would be harder to hit. Quickness is just straight up. Used to calculate the chance to hit in ranged combat. Reduces the chance to be hit by enemy physical attacks. Okay. So it's actually not that useful, and we would be throwing away a lot of new yen for basically just a +1 to our dodge, which we don't really need. +2 is more than enough. I mean, the extra movement would be nice. I mean, the only other one that he had was this one down here, which is +3 to movement. Which is, I'm not playing $3,000 for +3 to movement. I was hoping for something to give me more action points, really. But besides that, there's nothing that really grabs my fancy. +3 to hit, 3% chance to hit, +6% chance to hit. Neither of these are great. Yeah. I might just save my money for now, or until we find something that's slightly better for it. We don't need drones. Medikits are okay on. Only thing we tended to do is get a better weapon for someone else in the party. But I don't think she's strong enough that, yeah. Because like once he levels up next, he'll get a revolver anyway. And I'm tempted, like, I don't really care about the trauma specialization for this because of how, like, a lot of people said, like, normal mode in this game you don't have to worry about it so much. So I think what we do instead is get the revolver, which is just more range damage. For him, there's some stuff that's going on there. Oh, that is nice. That's nice as well. But being the ability to reload all of her equipped weapons for 0 HP of cooldown of 7 turns, that's pretty powerful as well, especially if we're fighting loads of things. Though double tapping with a sniper rifle is really nice. Him, I couldn't care less about. Sorry, just no interest in him at all. Because this is my go-to team. And then you have the Dragon Slayer, Shield, or Wrath. That's good, but uninspiring. I'd rather get this and get the increased damage reduction. But that's all for now, folks. I've been Cornish-knight. This has been Shadowrun Dragonfall. In the next episode, we are probably going to have to take care of a couple of side things. Iger's contact. Probably going to do Iger's contact if we can. Because I'm pretty sure that allows us access to assault rifles for her, which would be much better than the shotgun. Because the shotgun is starting to pretty much plateau and is not really that useful. So I'd rather grab an assault rifle for her and use that role. But that's all for now, folks. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.